Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got fireworks from the hearing yesterday, SEC versus Ripple. You're going to want every bit of it. We got legal analysis from John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan, and we're going to cover three different areas. We got information on requests for admissions. We're going to cover the Amicus brief, and we're also going to cover the analysis from yesterday, as well as, how about filed paper from the SEC on witness safety? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen. And everything that we're talking about here today, market is up 2.8% this morning. It is June 8th, 2022. We got a $1.3 trillion market cap for crypto this morning. Bitcoin 30,400 plus, Ethereum now over 1,800, and we see XRP the number 7 spot at 39 cents, showing 40 on Fiat Link. We're ranging between 39 cents and 42 cents. We'll keep an eye on it, but keep an eye on this. For a special limited time offer from Link2, they are offering a really, really amazing deal right here for all of today. Don't mess around. Keep your eye out for it. And it will probably be, because I think Link2 is listed at 5,000 minimum investment, which is lowering it from 10,000. And they're going to do the same thing for Ripple today, I believe. So make sure you keep an eye on that as well. Probably at about 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is 8 a.m. Pacific time, right? But it also says here specifically Team Apollo members. What this will mean for them is they will be able to obtain a $10,000 same level discount they'd normally receive when receiving the $25,000 minimum they do from the Team Apollo members. And so at $10,000 up to $25,000, they're able to get the same price they normally do. Non-Team Apollo members also benefit with the $5,000 minimum investment. And if they do invest $10,000, they will get a special price break. So know that going in as well. Very, very cool stuff. Link underneath the video. Don't miss. Limited time offer. Valente Technologies, we're thrilled to have been shortlisted for Payments Tech of the Year. That's a Ripple partner, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in. Yeah, you're damn right. Standard custody tied to PolySign says in the wake of job cuts and hiring freezes across the industry, we are still hiring across standard custody and PolySign, and that is absolutely huge. Just like we know Ripple's still hiring. They're underneath an SEC case, which is really falling apart. We're going to get into that and some incredible comments on that. Ripple and luxury retailer Lunu, I guess it's Lunu, have partnered to accept cryptocurrency as payment in store online using Ripple's liquidity hub. It will enable Lunu's customers to optimize the exchange of crypto assets to fiat in one place at competitive prices. This is Cindy Young backing up the same information here, saying that coming to a high-end retail in UK and Europe with our latest partnership with Lunu Solutions. Exciting stuff. Always happening for Ripple and XRP, ODL, RippleNet. Let's get into this. Let's start. Like I said, there's a couple different areas we're going to cover here. First piece of information is on the request for admissions. If you remember the RFAs, right? Shout out to Jim filing for this one. Ripple defendants file a reply letter in further support of their motion regarding the deficiencies in the SEC's response to Ripple defendants' fourth set of requests for admissions. So essentially, the SEC is stalling again, right? That's what we're dealing with here. So that's on the RFA bit. We'll keep you up to date as things change. Here's some other helpful information from Wheezy. Yeah. And this is Blockchain Association, Digital Commerce, DCG, Blockad, Coin Center, ABCA. None of them were at the hearing in support of Ripple or XRP holders to the tune of 67,000 plus. But John Deaton was. You're damn right he was, and that means a lot to all of us. Right here is Jeremy Hogan, who said you don't need a law degree to know how the court hearing went, but it's even worse than it sounded. The SEC took a big step backwards on key issue. Video tonight, we have it this morning, and we have the clip that you need to see, as well as from John Deaton. Here is a little back and forth, and I tracked it yesterday as well, but nobody says it better here than Crypto Law. Shout out to Crypto Law here. Matthew Solomon for Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple Labs there. The court is struggling to get an answer on something that we've all been struggling to get an answer on for months. All of the evidence says this was Hinman's personal views in this speech, and the court has properly already found that. Solomon agrees with NetBurn comment that the SEC is changing its view on Hinman's speech being his personal views to suit the interest in this case, and walks the court through the history of this long, protracted battle about Hinman's speech and all the pretrial fights. It is really the truth. It was a mess yesterday, and I had not recognized the attorney that was speaking, and I almost feel like, and it was even mentioned, I believe, in one way or another by Jeremy Hogan, and I think possibly John Deaton as well. Shout out to both of them. It felt like, this attorney, was probably thrown into the fire. I think the phrase was a hospital pass by Jeremy Hogan, where you're in a football game and you're going to catch the ball, but you're about to get hit and have to go to the hospital. It was not a winning situation, and that's really what we're talking about here. And if you look at this, I think, I had put this out, I tracked a lot of this, and the judge certainly was aligning, you could tell, with Matthew Solomon when he came in, and she was absolutely not letting the SEC off the floor. This is what the current situation for the SEC's position on the emails absolutely felt like as you were listening to the attorney try to fight the position. And it was not good. And you know what? Again, I said there were a few things to pay attention to in this hearing that were going to be extremely important. And the integrity of the judge in this case was absolutely paramount in this hearing. And she showed up just as she's done in every other hearing. And kudos to her, because she has the patience that I have just never witnessed before. But I'll tell you this, it was really, really great to see that even though she had the patience to allow the SEC attorney to always go back and revisit the same thing and keep saying the same thing over, it was still clear to me, and I think everyone who was listening, that the judge wasn't having it. You can keep repeating the same wrong things, but I don't think it's going to change the judge's mind. In fact, we have a clip here from Jeremy Hogan, and we're about to hear from John Deaton on, does this hearing and what comes from this hearing bring us closer to settlement? You're going to want to hear what he says. But first, let's hear from Jeremy Hogan here. Shout out to Legal Briefs.
But there was a big mistake made by the SEC in this hearing, and it was really an unforced fumble. It's going to come back to haunt them in the future, so pay attention to this. Remember, last year we talked about a theory of a case and why it's so important to stick with your theory in litigation. And then we talked about how it was a mistake for the SEC to change its argument on what Hinman's speech was. If it was going to make the gambit that it was Hinman's personal opinion, you have to stick with that, and here's why. Now, we know Judge NetBurn has already ruled that, at least for discovery purposes, Hinman's speech was his personal opinion. So the SEC can now argue it's not relevant to anything, and that's fine. But we know that that hurts the SEC in these discovery motions, so there was a trade-off there. But the SEC attorney was trying really hard today and arguing various positions in order to try to win this motion, which is probably not really possible to even win. And so what did she end up saying? Now first, when the judge was trying to lock the SEC attorney down on what the SEC's position is, the judge asked, is the SEC taking the position now that the speech reflected the Division of Corporate Finance's position? And the SEC attorney said yes. Now she tried to equivocate a little bit after that, but the first and the direct answer was yes. And even worse, towards the end of the hearing, when the argument had turned to policy versus legal guidance, the SEC attorney actually said this. Listen to this, quote, "The purpose of the speech was to provide market guidance on how the SEC would treat digital assets." Now, I couldn't believe she said that, and still right now, I doubt that my notes are correct, because this motion was already lost in the first 5 minutes. But those
And the notes are correct, Jeremy. That's exactly what she said.
two remarks by the SEC attorney, especially the second one, put the Hinman speech back into play as market guidance and puts it back into relevance. It's like the SEC is having the opposite of having their cake and eating it too. So after today, with the quote that the speech was market guidance, Hinman's speech is back in play potentially as both official guidance as to whether XRP is a security and back in play as to the fair notice defense. And that's how gambits fall apart on you. You have to be very careful what you say when you're online and when you're in court, because that stuff lives forever. And in trying to win a loser, the SEC might just have lost a winner. Thanks.
Wow. I mean, what a line. That, I think that really says it. And the SEC, in trying to win a loser, may have just lost a winner. What a line. I think that's probably the most excellent summation of exactly what went on. And I'm not a lawyer, but I know that these guys are so sharp. And so is this guy right here. It's the general of the XRP holder army right here. And listen to what he's asked as he says, does the SEC settle if they lose the next ruling on this issue of the emails? Take a listen here.
All right, we got a question here. Does the SEC settle if they lose the next ruling? Well, my position hasn't changed, which is, and I know DAI has said this and other people have said this, which is those emails, those comments are never going to see the light of day outside of the SEC's office. And so my position remains the same. When the SEC is forced to turn over those documents, that's when a settlement could happen. If the judge does something, which I don't believe she'll do, and she decides to not make them produce the documents, then this case is going to summary judgment. But we just need that to happen. The other reason, Judge Netburn knows that this case is getting appealed, at least to her decision on this Hinman email stuff, that's getting appealed to at least Judge Torres. And so another reason of having the attorneys come on the record and get them committed to their statements on the record is to make it bulletproof.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with John Deaton and DAI. There ain't no way in hell the SEC is going to let Ripple or us or anyone else ever see those emails. That's why this fight has been so ridiculous. If there was anything in those email drafts that could help the SEC, they would have rammed it down our throat already. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's to the tune that it's probably so damaging that they look like buffoons when they put themselves in front of the judge, just that as happened yesterday. Now, slightly different question. Did today's hearing bring us closer to a settlement? Just very quickly on this, we want everything John Deaton's got here.
I don't want to go on a tangent. Did today's hearing bring the case closer to settling? I think as long as the ruling comes out, what's going to determine that, everybody, is whether or not Judge Torres would allow the SEC to certify an appeal, which I don't think. I think that the opinion will be bulletproof. Listen, I'm someone who's went on record to say that there's something in those emails that the SEC desperately doesn't want Ripple to know. Again, even if it's just a comment about, well, what about XRP? You know, isn't XRP arguably more decentralized than Ether or whatever? There's got to be some kind of reference that they believe is going to cost them to lose. And if there is something in those emails that costs them to lose, then why would they risk losing when they could go to Ripple and get a significant sum of money for a settlement, and then Gary Gensler could make us all upset to our stomach by bragging how he got one of the largest settlements in SEC history, blah, blah, blah.
I just think that makes so much sense. Remember, what is really at stake here isn't being embarrassed about what could be in those emails. It's about Gary Gensler not being able to put a win in the win column. And missing the opportunity to get a huge settlement for the SEC. That's what's really at stake here, along with the political land grab that Gary Gensler's trying to do from the SEC agency chair. Now, let's take a look at this because, there is another issue also going along in this case, and it is the filing of the Amicus brief, which is really challenging the credibility of the expert witness Patrick Doty from the SEC side. Right? And challenging because it is not believed by John Deaton that the expert witness Patrick Doty from the SEC has interviewed one XRP holder to come to his expert opinion. And that is a problem. Now, he predicted here that the SEC knows and think the XRP holders fear the most is delays, which they're right. The SEC will try and cause fear and divide the XRP holders on the issue by arguing that if the judge allows the Amicus to file a brief, the SEC will need more time to respond, even though they don't. He goes on to say the SEC might claim I'm trying to violate the court's order by presenting evidence, even though all I did was provide the parties with affidavits, not the court. The SEC may even argue that if Ripple attempts to use affidavits, they must be allowed to reopen discovery, which would be more delays, right? They might argue that they needed to delay the case in order to depose 2,000 XRP holders who signed affidavits. The SEC is desperate for the judge to learn the truth. Delay is the only tactic it has. It will be meant to divide XRP holders. Don't worry. John Deaton has anticipated that. Now, in the order and manner of the SEC expert, after the hearing was over and adjourned yesterday, short period later, the SEC filed a motion to seal its opposition to the Amicus brief of Patrick Doty. They are citing as a basis witness safety. I sure hope no XRP holder has contacted or threatened Mr. Doty in any way. And I do too. It's like, come on now. I mean, if anybody has, this is absurd. Now, it could also be a tactic by the SEC. They are willing to do anything and sacrifice their own integrity went out the window a long time ago, right? So this is not an agency that embarrasses very easily. So I hope that no one has done this, but it is filed from the Securities Exchange Commission here in light of the circumstances, talking about the motion here, outlined in the opposition brief. The SEC submits that additional public filings on this issue over the expert Patrick Doty will further exacerbate the troubling developments in this matter. In determining whether to grant a motion to seal, a court must weigh the presumption in favor of public access to judicial documents against higher values, which may include witness safety. That's what we're talking about. Motion for summary judgment because the safety of complaining witness and his family constitutes a higher value which should be protected. Witness safety and privacy is basis to seal. And then it talks about here an example of appropriate basis of which to seal a record, giving citing cases. The SEC thus respectfully requests the court order the sealing of its opposition brief and all exhibits thereto. Given the serious concerns identified in the opposition brief and because movements are not parties in this litigation, the SEC will respectfully await the court decision on the motion to seal before providing movements with a copy of its opposition brief because the court's individual rules do not allow reply briefs in connection with pre-motion letters. It says here, there it is. Movements will not be prejudiced by any delay in accessing the opposition brief. The SEC requests that as a part of its decision on this motion, the court specifically order Movements and their attorney, John Deaton, to refrain from publicly disclosing the opposition brief or any of the contents thereof. I certainly hope no one has contacted the expert Patrick Doty or his family in any way. Listen, we've got all the truth is on our side, and that's all we're ever going to need. And that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below. Check out all the links underneath the video. They're great products and services I use each and every day. If you're not sure what to do, even though tax time's just passed, contact Clinton Donnelly. He is the foremost authority on taxes and crypto taxes. I'm now using him and his company as my full service CPA accountant, tax strategy service, and crypto as well, as you already knew. And it is very exciting to do so. So make sure you check that out. I'll catch all of you on the next one.